Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling. This is Raging Verbalist number 323. Now it's 323. Hard to believe, but we keep rolling them along, keep moving them forward. And today we're going to be talking about an interesting book. I usually don't talk about other people's books, but my own, but today we're going to. And just want to remind you that we are on YouTube every Friday and also my Facebook group, which is Position to Win Book, Position to Win Book. Shameless plug. Show the book, John. Position to Win Book. There we go. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is this book that David Pogue, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, has put out called Apple, the First 50 Years. There you go. You can see that available at everywhere. I bought mine from Amazon because it was, much less expensive. It's about 600 pages, 595 with the index and everything. I've not read the entire book, read segments of it. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's into really understanding how businesses have come together and why it is unique in what people are out there doing. Okay. So quick toss about how this all came about or what I think has happened. So David has been a guy who's been chronicling and been around the Apple world forever. And I don't know where when he joined the band, if you will. I joined it in 1981, 82. I bought my first Apple II product. I started using it. I had helped clients by that point in time using TRS 80s and all of that, but I saw that Apple had a much greater variety of software. That actually was what I used to do mailers. I used to do mailers using an Apple II, and yes, that was an amazing, amazing time, man. But then eventually, what happened is that Apple introduced the Macintosh in 1984. If you've never seen that ad, go to YouTube, find the original ad for Apple, and they've had people who've enhanced it and maybe done a little bit too much tweaking on it, but it's a great ad. Only ran once. I would recommend anybody who's in sales and marketing to go out and watch that over and over again. So 1984 it got introduced. It was 2,500 bucks. I was not going to spend 2,500 bucks on a new computer, but I had a certain amount of, if you will, lust for it. Apple, by the way, was still building and selling lots of Apple IIs, Apple IIIs. Lisa had been really kind of a commercial failure, though it showed promise. I had seen the Lisa and was surprised at all the things it could do. And then along comes the Mac. And my journey to Appledom, if you will, is that in 1985 at a computer store in the used section, they had taken in a Macintosh on trade because somebody had it and said, no, this is too much of a, I don't know, it's just not me. It's too much of a toy, whatever it was. And they traded it in, and I ended up buying it. And they wanted, I got down to, I started at 1,400. They started 1,500. We were at 1,450. I looked at the guy and said, "Are you a gambling man?" Of course, everybody knows me well, knows I am. And I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you, for 25 bucks, I'll give you 14.25. Uh, if I win the coin toss, if you win the coin toss, 1,450 bucks." Flip the coin, I won. No surprise. And no, I didn't have an unfair coin. And I was in the Mac world and slowly but surely changed how I did everything. And that computer lasted me for quite some time. Didn't get infected to the PC land until later on. Avoided the whole DOS thing because, I mean, geez, come on, I don't want to go back in the, to terminal mode all the time, whatever you want to call that. Well, the point of it is that this guy David Pogue was in the, zeitgeist, if you will, fancy way of saying. He was writing articles. He had a magazine, which my wife and I subscribed to every magazine about the Mac that we could. Wanted to learn about things, and would go to the software store. Egghead software stores were around at that point in time, and you'd go and you'd look at this stuff and start spending, crazy money compared to today on software. Whenever I see some, little bonus commentary for you, whenever I see somebody bitching that they spent $4.99 on an app on the App Store for their phone or on their, machine, and I go, wow, geez, I wish I could get my $4.99 back. And I'm like, Well, actually, what you really want is get your brain back. I mean, we used to spend hundreds of dollars on this stuff. But David Pogue was an interesting guy because he wrote a lot of articles that I read. It was a fascinating thinking guy. He wrote how to use your computer, which I bought some of those, have those in the house and in my library. And the interesting thing about it is that when I heard that he had written this tome, which was Apple the first 50 years, bought it the first week, bought it through Amazon. Was going to buy it through Barnes and Noble, but you got a better deal from Amazon, and it showed up the next day. But the important part about it is that it's interesting that it walks the line between giving you some technical details, which is important. Now, I mean, it's not a technical thing. It doesn't talk to you about every innovation or patent or mistakes, or it doesn't go into that to that level of detail, but it gives you enough of that. But it also gives you the behind the scenes of how things are put together. And if you've ever worked in technology, I still run a technology company. I can tell you that personalities and who you get, how they do it, and like I'm putting together a couple business plans right now. You got to know that this figures into it. So I think it's a worthwhile read. I will do an update over time and tell you what I think about it. I like the fact that he's got a bunch of sidebars, or what we would call in the marketing world Johnson boxes, and he'll give like a little mini profile on who this individual was and what they did, and then where they moved on to, and all of that. And I think that that's really a way to understand the technology at a greater depth. I don't think it's a read it from cover to cover, page turner kind of thing, but it's one of those things that it's worth a read. It's worth grabbing, and I pick it up and I'll just read a little section of it, get a little tidbit, get a little bit of taste, and away we go. And all I can tell you is it worth the money? So far, it has been worth the money. Now, if you're not into Apple at all, and I know there's the Apple haters, by the way, those are the people who missed out on probably one of the greatest booms in the stock market ever. But okay, I got you. You're out there. You're probably not going to read it. But David makes a very interesting point, and I'll kind of leave you with this. He points out that Apple is like the only company out there, technology wise, that started in the personal computer space, started in the technology space, and continues to be in that space. And whether you look at Samsung was in the drying fish business when they first started. Now, yeah, they've moved over to technology and all of that. But it's fascinating that Apple has kind of stayed true to that. They are still obsessive about things. It makes them both great to have, and at times frustrating. But the thing is that they work really hard to do what they do. I appreciate that, and in fact, I am doing this on a M2 MacBook. I have Apple products, and I have to tell you, the integration and living in that Apple space is unbelievable. I don't think we would ever have gotten the things done that we needed to do if I was just living in PC land. And yes, I have PCs and I have Androids, but I can tell you Apple hands down. So check it out. It's a great book. But while you're thinking about books, you might want to check out this book. Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to Win. Available from any bookstore that has physical books. They can order it for you. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes Noble, and other places. You can also get it digitally at Kindle, Nook, and Apple iBooks. And if you do that, you'll probably understand that the thing that Apple has really always done is understood their positioning. And the positioning is the cornerstone of every single successful business story. And with that, I'm John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling. This has been Raging Verbalist number 323. Go and have a great one out there and be successful. And I think if you read David's book on Apple, and you're in business, you're going to learn some things. You're in technology, you'll learn some things. But more importantly, it's quite a lineage that something lasted 50 years in this rough and tumble world called technology. Until next time, we'll keep thinking about it, and I'll keep looking for insights, and I'll share those with you as I find them. Thanks again, and until next time, we're out.